radiallahu anha tells Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that if I see him, my eyes may deceive me, but your words, being the messenger of Allah, will not deceive me. I rely on your words. And that was enough consolation and enough comfort for her. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, of course, was fortified by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But those who were the enemies of Islam and living in that masculine or that male-dominated society, they jumped on the chance of ridiculing and mocking at Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Some of them were more bold, like characters like As bin Wa'il. As, Ayn, Alif, Sad, and Wa'il, not Y-W-I-L-D, but Waw, Alif, Hamza, Lam. As bin Wa'il, one of those characters, one of the heads of the kuffar of Makkah at that time. Uqba bin Abi Mu'ayt, they jumped on that bandwagon, spreading the news and spreading the information in Makkah and amongst the kuffar communities that don't be concerned about Muhammad anymore. For when he dies, he's not going to have a successor. You see, they were thinking of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as some form of a king. That when he dies, he has no prince. As a result, nobody to take over after him. And this will be the end of his call, the end of his message, and that will be it. So they sort of like rejoiced or basked in the moment that he is not going to have anybody to take care after him, nobody to continue after him, and as a result, destiny, fate has already taken care of him on behalf of us. We have got nothing to be concerned about whatsoever. They called him that, or they rather leveled the title of Abtar to the name of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abtar, in the Arabic language, refers to an animal that has a tail, whose tail is cut off, snipped off, like a camel. If you can imagine it with its tail cut off, or a goat, or like a sheep with its tail cut off. That animal is referred to as Abtar. Incomplete from one end to the other end. Of course, it will not affect the meat in any way, but for purchase, for usage, it doesn't seem to be a presentable animal. It has a defect inside there. That animal is known as Abtar. They refer to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as Abtar, that his tail is cut off, meaning that he will not continue, he is defective in as far as his lineage is concerned, that he will not continue. Other members of the Yahud of Medina in particular, like Ka'b bin Ashraf, he at this point in time went to Makkatul Mukarramah and told them that you people here, you descendants of Abu Lahab and Abu Jahl and all you kuffar living here are better than him. For your progeny will continue. You have got sons by the dozen, whereas he has got no male issue and there is nobody to continue his name at all. Little did they know, before I actually start Surah Kawthar, little did they know that if you look at the lineage of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam today, the lineage of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam continues today in the form of his grandsons and the descendants of those grandsons. But there is nobody in the entire world that can say that I'm a descendant of Abu Lahab or I'm a descendant of Abu Jahl. And even if he knew that he was a descendant of Abu Jahl or Abu Lahab, he would rather be best to shut his mouth and keep silent instead of, being rendered a fool or something for that matter. But if you look at it, then look at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's system. That if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to continue, He continued the lineage of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is in fact Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, كُلُّ نَسَبٍ وَسَبَبٍ مُنْقَطِعٌ إِلَّا سَبَبِي وَنَسَبِي. That every single uterine and every single lineage and link in this entire world will be cut off, except my link. You ask anybody in this room, you know who your father is, you know who your grandfather is, you know who your great-grandfather is. How far can you go? How far can you go? Great-great-grandfather? Maybe. Great-great-great, 3 greats? Maybe less, maybe. But who can go like 16, 17, 18, 19 grandfathers, no matter how conservative your house is, no matter what a good family unit you are, no matter what good track records you keep, there will come a limit, there will come a time wherein we will be cut off. Unless you are from the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then for the most part, you will be able to trace your lineage back to him. This is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said and meant, that every single lineage in this entire world will be cut off except my link. Now, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was dealt that blow of the passing of his son, coupled with that blow, the slander or the misinformation or the negative media that the heads of the kuffar were now passing about and sending about regarding the death of his son and him being incomplete and what have you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at this point in time consoled Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam with the revelation of Surah Kawthar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's consoling Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam happens many places in the Quran. When he was dealt the personal blow of the passing of his uncle and the passing of his wife, the consolation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came in the Isra and the Mi'raj of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And that is how the 15th juz of the Quran starts. Subhanalladhi asra bi'abdihi. That glory be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who took his servant from Makkah al-Mukarramah right to Jerusalem and took him beyond. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's consolation came in the form of that trip. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala noticed and saw that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was weighed down with the burdens of the revelation, didn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveal upon him Surah Nashr, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him that وَرَفَعْنَا عَنْكَ وِزْرَكَ, that we removed that burden from you. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was faced with abject poverty, especially in the Medina days of them sacrificing for the sake of Islam, didn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala console him in those conditions and in those times with Surah Wad-Duha, wherein Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that we found you a'ilan, as a poor person, fa'aghna, so we enriched you, we gave you the wealth of the world at your disposal, and we cured that abject poverty that you were in that position. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always consoled Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at the difficult bumps and hurdles that he encountered in his lifetime. And that consolation upon the passing of his son came in Surah Kawthar, wherein Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna a'ataynaka al-Kawthar, that certainly we sent down, or we gave you rather, Inna a'ataynaka, we gave you the well of Kawthar. Now if you look at this ayat over here, it's in the past tense. We gave you the Kawthar. The Kawthar, the well of Kawthar, which very shortly I will inshallah explain its purpose and its description, is a well designated and reserved for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Jannah. It has been referred to as the rendezvous point, the meeting point, wherein the Ummah will be reunited with the Nabi, with the Prophet. At this point, they will meet. At this point, he will meet his Ummah, those members who he knew before, and those members who he did not know before. That is an overview of who the Kawthar is. Allah, or what the Kawthar is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that we gave you this well of Kawthar. Past tense for a reason. To show a sense of absolute. That even though you are going to receive this Hawd Kawthar, this well of Kawthar in the future, it's going to happen after you pass away and you're still alive right now. But the past tense verb has been used to show that consider it given already. Consider it checked already. Consider it done. So we gave it to you. Inna a'ataynaka al-Kawthar. So therefore, فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. So pray unto your Rabb. So pray for your Rabb, for the, pray for your own benefit, but in the direction of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wanhar, and sacrifice. You see these two commands. These two commands represent the medicine or prescription that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam at this point in his life. That you are faced with this bump of your son passing away. You are faced with this bump of living in a male-dominated society and people leveling these accusations against you and your name that will not continue, this is how you handle it. Don't respond to them in the way they are responding. Don't have to stand on the mimbar of Medina and inform them that, listen here, I will not be cut off, I am not up there. Don't say anything. What you do, فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ, that pray unto your Rabb. Prayer, wanhar, and sacrifice. Now this term sacrifice, generally most of the mufassirin or the commentators say that it refers to sacrificial animals, sacrifice it and feed the people. A combination of personal prayer and charity. A combination of personal prayer and charity which represents the prescription not just to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam but to every single one of us, that when we encounter the bumps in the road, be it the death of a loved one, be it the failing of an exam, be it not meeting expectations or the expectations of other people, be it whatever, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's prescription stands good right till the end of time. That you pray wanhar and give some monetary sacrifice. Even if you are broke, you can afford the $5, you can afford the $10. Spend it in the way of the Almighty, and that will serve as a cure for the situation or a remedy for the situation that you are experiencing right now. Other scholars say that wanhar is actually referring to the bone between your chest and your throat, that collarbone, is known as the nahar area. Therefore, when you're sacrificing an animal, it's referred to as the nahar of a camel because that's where the knife goes. It is referred to as the nahar area. So the reference of wanhar is actually standing up in prayer in such a way that your chest, your nahar, your bone is facing the qibla. And certain scholars have mentioned that this is the tafsir of wanhar and not the actual charity. Fasalli then would mean dua. The literal meaning of salah, by the way, is not prayer. The literal meaning of salah is dua. So fasalli then would mean pray, make dua, call, supplicate unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and stand up in prayer. That is the remedy to your situation right now. Nonetheless, you could combine all three. Why not? You could make dua, you could pray in a standing way unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the cherry on the top, the icing on the cake, you could give charity. You could give money in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That would be the ultimate combination or the ultimate remedy. Sort of like not only are you taking the medicine, but at the same time you are taking other precautions as well to keep yourself healthy. You combine all three. Inna shani'aka huwa al-abtar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, your enemy, inna shani'aka, the one who is mocking you, the one who is belittling you, he is abtar. He is the one who will eventually be cut off. And the Mufassirin write that the meaning of this ayah is, as I alluded to before, that whoever mocked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at that time, where is their lineage? Completely absent. They cannot trace themselves more than 3 or 4 generations. Even though the forefathers did accept Islam, the reality is that nobody will truly know who their 20 greats or 25 great-grandfather is, except people who come from the lineage of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know, sometimes people for some reason feel very reluctant to speak about the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for some reasons. The reality is, my respected friends, that when when the time comes, or the occasion comes, to speak about the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, discussing them, knowing who they are, is an important facet of deen, no matter what is your aqaid or religious affiliations, no matter where you come from in the whole world. But if you are a Muslim, you are bound and you need to know who were the family or who is the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to what degree Are they to be respected? And what is the honor leveled upon them in the Sharia and in this law? And what is their status in the law of Islam? That's another topic. But regarding this ayah here, Allah subhanahu